Hey there, YouTubers. Right, so in this video, we are going to look at the reasons why you would disable Turbo Boost, and then we will also look at a couple locations where you would go to disable it. So I did this a couple years ago, and it's kind of an update video. We're going to make assumptions that you guys know something about Turbo Boost. Maybe, quite a few you might know more than I do, which wouldn't surprise me, right? There's a lot of smart computer people that end up on these videos. So Control-Alt-Delete brings you to Task Manager. In there, if you click on Performance CPU, you're going to see some basic stuff about your CPU. Type of CPU, this is i9-9900KF. Base speed 3.6. Cores 8. CPU utilization. Speed. And this is actually the max core frequency. If you have something like Intel's Extreme Tuning Utility, you also see that same information. So let's talk, the basics here. If I have Turbo Boost enabled, I've got my base speed shown. It's not going to change. This value is going to fluctuate based on the workload, what I'm doing. Now, if I disable Turbo Boost, that speed never gets greater than the base speed, okay? And that's basically keeping this really simple. Now, if we have Turbo Boost enabled and this max core frequency goes up, the other thing that's going to go up with it is the power being used. Another thing that's going to go up is the CPU temperature. Another thing that's going to go up is the fan speed on the CPU cooler. So if we disable Turbo Boost, that stuff drops down, doesn't go above this base speed, okay? Well, there's always, negatives with doing something like that, right? I save some electric, I get rid of some heat, but the negative is I lose performance. So let's go ahead and look at the reasons why you would disable Turbo Boost. So probably, the number one thing I think you're going to find on the internet is related to laptops more than desktops, but I'm going to show you some reasons why it could be beneficial to a desktop user. All right. Laptop has to have an Intel CPU in it, right? And it's got to be one that has Turbo Boost capability. Let's say we're going on a flight somewhere. We look underneath our seat. Oh, no receptacle to plug our laptop in. I just need to maybe read some PDF. Maybe I need to do work on a spreadsheet. Maybe I've got to write a Word document. But I want this laptop to last as long as it can. Disabling Turbo Boost will basically stop this thing from boosting any higher than that base speed, okay? And that's going to use a less electric. Now, is it going to be a significant amount? That's another story, okay? But 5 minutes extra work, hey, if it gives you that, might be useful. Now, the other thing that disabling Turbo Boost might be useful with for a laptop is when you're having issues with the CPU getting too hot. Maybe you've got a crap ton of dust in there on the CPU fan, whatever. You're having issues with it getting hot. Disabling Turbo Boost will drop that max core frequency down to the base and potentially will help you with that issue. All right. Now, let's talk desktops. I pulled up a few different CPUs, the i9-12900K, i9-12900, and the i9-12900T. We're going to look at the base power of these things. So the 12900K, base power 125, max turbo power 241. The 12900, 65, Max Turbo 202. Then the 12900T, 35 watts, and 106. Out of these three, obviously you can tell which one's going to be the best performer. It's obviously the 12900K, followed by the 12900 and the 12900T. Out of these three, you can also see which ones are going to use, which one uses the less power, right? So we're going back the other way. 12900T followed by the 12900, then the 12900K. The 12900T, all of these have the ability to have turbo boost enabled or disabled, okay? So, most likely you buy an i9 12900K, you're not going to want to mess with turbo boost. You can afford to pay your electric bill. You have no reason to disable turbo boost. This could be true, may not be, but hang on a second. I buy an i9 12900. Once again, this is something that, you know, it comes with a stock CPU cooler. Whether that thing is adequate or not is another story. Depends on your application. Same thing with the i9 12900T. Comes with the stock cooler. So, let's say I buy the wrong CPU cooler for this guy, right? Now you see that max turbo boost there. If we click on this, that explains what that is, right? Let's say I buy something like this, Be Quiet, and we see 150 watt TDP. We're using this CPU. The next thing I know, it is getting too hot. Continually too hot. There's a good chance that this CPU is not adequate for the i9 12900K. Pretty sure it's not going to be, okay? Maybe you're having thermal limit throttling with it. It's not ideal. Maybe you're concerned about the temperatures you're seeing. Maybe it is getting up to 100 degrees Celsius. You might decide that, hey, I need to buy a new CPU cooler, but where I bought this, I should have bought this, Noctua NH-D15. As a way to get by, I could disable turbo boost on the 12900K, and this guy would work just fine. Not as important, but the 12900. Maybe you're having issues with the stock cooler. You could disable turbo boost using this. 12900T, probably not going to be any problem with the cooler. So this argument doesn't really jive with this. Now, there are lots of other CPUs out there that you could apply this to, different i7s. This is not as important to somebody that's got an i3, an i5, a Pentium, a Celeron, okay? Let's say that you're doing recording. Like right now, I am recording. I've got two microphones hooked into a mixer, plugged into a USB into the computer, and the computer is close enough that it could be picked up by the microphones. There's actually quite a few computers in here, and they're all on. I didn't bother to shut them off. Nobody's ever told me, oh God, I can hear 4 computers in the background. And that's exactly how many are in this room, okay? So let's say, though, you are doing audio recording, voiceover, whatever, and you want the noise levels to be as low as possible. There are things you could do. One of those is disabling turbo boost. Now, other options might be getting a fan, getting a CPU cooler that does not have a fan on it as well. But in this case, maybe also game on that computer, and that would not work out so great. So if we wanted to disable turbo boost, that would drop down the power used by the CPU as well as lower the fan speed most likely. Okay, so is it going to be that big a difference? Probably not, but it might lower it enough that it doesn't get picked up. Okay. Now, people that do CPU mining, this does not matter for them, but let's say you do GPU mining on a motherboard. Maybe you have one, maybe you have two graphics cards on it, but you do not do CPU mining. You run this thing 24/7. This is a case where, you have a gaming computer that you're doing this mining with. That gaming computer runs great. CPU is pretty awesome. Let's say it's a brand new, 12th gen i7 12700K. But when I'm not using it, I don't want it to boost up, right? And we see this guy's boosting up. Of course, I've got some stuff going on, but if you watch it, it's going to be higher than 3.6, even if I have, stuff off on this computer. Now, if I'm mining, I don't want to use that extra power on the CPU, right? A lot of people may just use a Celeron or something. I don't want to use a lot of power on my i9 12900K or my i7 12700K. So disabling turbo boost might help, reduce the wattage. Is it a significant amount? Probably not, but over time, that might help you out. If you have tons of those types of computers, it may, benefit you in the long run. Now, let's go show you where you would actually disable turbo boost. So this example, this is a Gigabyte motherboard. Obviously, we're in the BIOS. You would not be in easy mode, you're in advanced mode. You click on tweaker, and I'm just going to go ahead and hit play on this. So hit tweaker, and hopefully you saw what we hit there. I guess I didn't back it up far enough. I'm going to click on advanced CPU settings. And in here, folks, you can see turbo boost, okay? So if we wanted to disable it, we could do that in here. This is a Gigabyte on a ASRock under OC tweaker, CPU configuration. Here is turbo boost in here. You could disable that there. Another ASRock, I think this is Z490 or Z590. Under OC tweaker, same thing. Same spot for disabling. So folks, that's about all I have in this video. I hope you got something out of it. One of the final things that you could consider, I haven't seen any of these out in the stores yet. And if you needed to potentially, we talked about mining, but if you needed to run your computer 24/7, or at least leave it on, disabling turbo boost might help. If you need all those cores and you're considering the i9 12900T, you could potentially buy the i9 12900. May or may not be cheaper. Buy that CPU when it comes out, disable turbo boost, still have quite a powerful CPU, but use less power. Now, where do we go besides where we saw in the BIOS? Throttle stop. You can download this software for free. If I click this disable button, disable, then I go over here to task manager, boom, there we are. We're actually less than the base speed. Now with this processor, I could do some other stuff in Intel's Extreme Tuning utility if I wanted to, but we're not gonna go there in this one. Now, Let's talk gaming, folks. I'm going to pause this and bring up Fortnite, and we're going to leave throttle stop going. Of course, it never fails. It needs to update Fortnite. So we're going to pause longer, it looks like, and wait for this thing to get ready to go. All right, so it's going to take a while. I pulled up a video, not the same CPU. I was going to show you the before and after, but we will look at this this video instead. Don't tell me an ad's popped up. Okay, let me pause this. So on the left, we have Turbo Boost enabled. And you can see this is supposed to be the same exact settings. Offhand, I can't tell you what they are, but it's probably 1080p competitive or low. You see what the GPU temp is, GPU utilization. CPU temp 54, not too bad. And then its utilization. FPS, which is amazing. I have better gear than this, and I can't hit this numbers anymore, but it's because of the way they do the game. So there's our temp here. Same settings, but we disable turbo boost. Here's my GPU temp, all this. My CPU temp 40 degrees, so we drop down 14 degrees. And our CPU utilization is about the same. We lose a ton of FPS on this though, which is kind of a negative, right? But this obviously was still quite playable. This i7 10700, I also have the 10700K, very similar to the i9 9900KF. Let me see if I can find another example. All right, so I found another example here. This was i5 11400 GTX 1080. You can see the numbers here. Left side disabled, turbo boost disabled. Right side turbo boost enabled. 1440p low, so a CPU intensive setting. We go across the top. We see our GPU pretty similar between the two. The one on the left actually using less wattage. But, you know, the temp is about the same. The GPU utilization about the same. Then we look at our CPU. 38 degrees Celsius, 38% utilization. On the enabled one, it's 50 degrees, so 12 degrees hotter and 32% utilization. FPS, only a 13 FPS difference here. But now we look at the CPU package power, 33 watts compared to 63 watts. That, 30 watt difference, does that add up much? If you're gaming 8 to 10 hours a day, maybe it would. I doubt people are going to want to reduce their CPU wattage, but this just shows you the effects of disabling turbo boost. Lower temperature of the CPU, lower power usage by the CPU, and what else is not shown is the CPU cooler also not working as hard. That's about it, folks. Thanks for checking out the video. Hope you got something out of it. Please like, please subscribe. Thank you.